The 8th round of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series sees the drivers head over to Virginia International Raceway. Now, the previous round at Watkins Glen saw Martin Cronkite and Hugo Luis out in the first corner of the first lap. And with Martin Cronkite taking a sabbatical to the end of the season, Hugo Luis has now got to get that job done for Team My3ID all by himself. Today, however, he starts from pole position with his closest rival Greger Huttu alongside him on the front row of the grid. Now, Greger Huttu is able to eke out a huge lead in the championship standings due in no small part to what happened with Luis at that Watkins Glen race, and also Atsi Kirchhoff is closing the gap as well. He sits third right now in the championship standings. So today, Luis will really need to make sure he can get it done on the racetrack. Fulvio Barrazzini as well, starting the race from the third position on the racetrack. A tremendous performance by him, with Atsi Kirchhoff starting the race in the fourth position. Now, Virginia International Raceway is a track that drivers call the green hell. It's fast, it's narrow, it's tricky. Danger lies at every turn on the racetrack. So the important question is this: can Hugo Luis finally end his string of bad luck from the previous couple of races? We're going to find out in this, the GlacierTV highlight show. Any moment now, we'll be going racing for 58 laps here at Virginia International Raceway. Who's going to get the start? It's going to be a good start, actually. As the lights go out by Greger Huttu, he's immediately going to try and look to the outside. Will he try and do the cut under down into turn number one? He won't. We have a crash down at the start-finish line. Luis leads away.
Pietili does in fact have damages. Atsi Kirchhoff is trying to get the fourth position back here now from Daniel Lopez, of course, who could get the position out of turn one, and he might even get it. And Atsi Kirchhoff gets the position. Very risky move here out of the turn, but he makes it stick as Daniel Lopez has to stick back and give Atsi Kirchhoff back the fourth position. But we may not forget, ahead of them, also with a big gap now on third position, Fulvio Barrazzini, who himself got over 2 seconds of a gap to the top two. So that just shows bad start by Barrazzini and the guys below, and a little bit of trouble in turn one, and you've immediately got 2 or 3 seconds gap to the front and trying to make it stick.
Meanwhile, Yudo Ramumi on the move right now as he goes past Mogar Fido. These two battled in the iRacing.com Pro Series of Road Racing. The battle right now for the 7th and 8th positions on the racetrack, and Fido actually under a little bit of pressure from Andre Borcher as well in the My3ID machine. Borcher currently sat in the 9th position on the racetrack, couldn't get the job done as they work themselves through the climbing S's once again on the racetrack. But also you've got yourself Jake Sturgis right on the rear of Daniel Lopez in the battle for the 5th position. Jake Sturgis looking very racy early on in this race, Marius.
Yeah, and it's definitely a good situation for Atsi Kirchhoff there. He got away from the guys. He overtook Daniel Lopez 2 laps ago, and now with Lopez fighting against Sturgis, Kirchhoff has immediately broken free, and he's looking as he would be the 3rd fastest guy here, together with the 2 race leaders here. And Fulvio Barrazzini a little bit slower as Jake Sturgis makes the move on Daniel Lopez. A good top speed here by the American driver from Inex Racing, and he makes the move and makes it stick, and therefore gains the 5th position.
Meanwhile, we have ourselves a lot of action on the racetrack and a lot of passing actually. Enzo Benito trying to go side by side. Yoris Mano Tomano actually looking down to the inside there of the Orion Racing car. He will complete the pass on Davy de Corpus. De Corpus will lose 2 positions there, and that's down into turn number 1, Marius. And this is a part of the track that we've seen drivers getting very sideways all the way through the race. In fact, Hugo Luis on his pole qualifying lap was drifting through that corner as ahead of him. You've had 2-eyed racing for about 3 corners now, and that was between Mogar Fido and Andre Borcher. Borcher's been able to get past Fido. Right now, let's check in on that battle for the race lead, Marius. Because Greger Huttu is still within about 7/10 of a second over Hugo Luis. And he really is trying to push it right now. As behind him, Atsi Kirchhoff is now going to try and get past Fulvio Barrazzini. This is going to be the easiest pass of the day. Kirchhoff down to the inside. He will complete that pass as they come down into the roller coaster. Yes, he will. So Kirchhoff will move himself up into the 3rd position, move Fulvio Barrazzini down into 4th. So, we're going to get a replay up on your screens, having a look at what happened with Blake Townend. And this is actually as the cars work themselves through the climbing S's down towards South Bend. And Blake Townend, you see, he's actually trying to work on Daniel Lopez as they work themselves through South Bend. Townend got a much better run on the outside as they came down to Oak Tree Corner. You see very often actually cars will just put themselves to the outside to avoid contact. And then Daniel Lopez hits the curb on the inside, and that appears him into Townend, puts him into the tyre barrier. And then what happens after that is that Townend actually trying to get that car back onto the racetrack. He spins that car once again, and he first actually hits Jesper Pedersen, and then the track then gets blocked behind him. Dion Verges was trying to get fast. He hit. Stephen Michaels was able to get through there, as there was carnage on the racetrack, and then also PJ Sturgis as well. He lost himself 4 or 5 positions in that battle. Marius, you have to say, that was pretty ugly.
That was, and you can't really do much there. I mean, you're flat on the brakes. You're just trying to de-accelerate the car as much as possible, and if you see there's a crash ahead, you can't really do much more than that, and just a little bit of a bump you've seen from PJ Sturgis there is enough to damage the front of the car. But a little bit of slip on the exit of the Oak Tree, not getting a perfect exit, and Joni Turnbull is now right at the tail of Narumi and might try to make a move down into turn 1. He's already getting the room to the inside, and that's a big mistake from Narumi there, leaving the room on the inside, and Turnbull goes through.
Indeed, yeah, and it's going to be the last late break. His Tormada will get that position, so move him now up into the 7th position on the racetrack in the space of 1 lap.
Then it's the question, will Hugo Luis need to pit 1 lap earlier? Will Greger Huttu stay out 1 lap longer? And will they just decide this race on the pit road?
Meanwhile, Stephen Michaels with a good run, actually, as he worked himself down into the roller coaster once again. He's trying to close up on Enzo Benito. It's going the long way around, but Michaels gains another position there on Enzo Benito, as we've been on board of him for pretty much this lap. He twists the racing car here of Stephen Michaels, and don't forget, the start of his season wasn't that great. He changed teams about a third of the way into this championship and really has done him a world of difference, as he's now on the pit road.
The top 2 in the pits, and we've got the cameras on them. The race most likely will be pre-decided here. Who will go first? Very fast stop by Greger Huttu, and he's got the lead. And now it's the question, will it be an interesting one into down into turn 1? No, it will not be. Hugo Luis takes the 2nd position here, and he has got absolutely no chance of getting it back. And now it's down to the first couple of laps where Greger Huttu might be a little bit slower, and I'm thinking that's exactly where Hugo Luis needs to make it work. The longer the race lasts, the harder it will be for the Brazilian to get the 1st position back. Entering the white flag lap, lap number 58. It is 6/10, no, it is actually 9/10 for the 2nd. Hugo Luis is down, and he cannot possibly make up an entire second plus get the overtake done, and I'm pretty sure he's going to see it exactly that way, because he's just backing down. He sees the whole endeavor out of the pits absolutely not paid off, and he's not going to get the race win today.
Meanwhile, for Greger Huttu, that last time by, it was a 1 minute 23.063. Is Luis all over the curbs there in the climbing. Yes, we talked about this in the track guide, that when the tyres start to fall away, you've got to be careful there in the S section of the racetrack. As they come down to South Bend, that gap now is 1 second on the racetrack. That means Luis will not get the draft here. All Greger Huttu needs to do now is just drive at home the last half of a lap, as Luis again sideways as he comes out of Oak Tree Corner. For Greger Huttu, he came into this race starting it in the 2nd position. He had to wait until the 2nd round of pit stops to be able to leapfrog Hugo Luis. He set his fastest lap of the race that last time by. If he has fuel issues, we're not going to know about them. They come through the roller coaster for the final time. They've got a couple of corners left as they come down into the Hog Pen complex for the final time. Greger Huttu didn't have to win this race, but he will extend his championship gap even more with victory here at Virginia International Raceway. That last time by, he set a 1 minute 23.540, so he doesn't get into the 22s this time by. Luis, he will come home in 2nd. So with that, Greger Huttu, now a 375 point in the championship, was able to extend his lead over Hugo Luis, who now has 261 points. However, every cloud has a silver lining, and Hugo Luis was able to eke out a little bit of an advantage over Atsu Kirchhoff. Now the next time the World Championship Series rolls into town, it'll be at Silverstone, Northamptonshire, England, where Hugo Luis has never been able to beat his arch rival, Greger Huttu. For more information about the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series, head over to wcs.iracing.com, and we'll be on air 1:50 PM GMT on the 29th of June for the 9th round of the championship. We'll see you all next time.